Hello, and welcome to today's English listening podcast. I am your host, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. In this podcast, we speak slowly. We speak clearly. We want you to understand every word. We also want you to feel motivated. We want you to feel inspired. Today, I have a very special guest. He is a motivational speaker. He is a life coach, and he has helped many people believe in themselves. Please welcome David.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everyone. I am very happy to be here, and I am excited to talk with you today.
David, in this podcast, our listeners are English learners. They are learning English slowly, step by step, and sometimes they feel nervous. Sometimes they feel shy. Do you have any words of motivation for them?
Yes, of course. First, I want to say this. Learning English is not easy. It takes time. It takes practice. And it takes patience. But remember, every small step matters. When you learn one new word, that is progress. When you understand one new sentence, that is progress. When you speak one new phrase, that is progress. So never say, I am not good enough. Instead say, I am learning. I am growing. I am improving. That positive mindset will help you every day.
That is wonderful advice. I like what you said. Every small step matters. Because sometimes people think they must learn fast. They think they must speak perfectly. But in reality, small steps create big change.
Exactly. Think about a baby. When a baby learns to walk, does the baby walk perfectly on the first try? No. The baby falls many times. But the baby does not quit. The baby keeps trying. And one day, the baby walks. Later, the baby runs. The same is true for English. At first, you may make mistakes. You may forget words. You may feel shy. But if you keep practicing, one day, you will speak with confidence.
That is a very good example. Now, I want to ask you, David, when people learn something new, English or any skill, they often feel fear. They feel afraid to fail. They feel afraid to look silly. What is your advice about fear?
That is a powerful question, and my answer is simple. Do not fight your fear. Accept your fear. Understand your fear. And then move forward anyway. Fear means you are growing. Fear means you are leaving your comfort zone. Fear means you are trying something new. And that is a good thing. So, when you feel afraid to speak English, say to yourself, yes, I feel afraid, but I will try anyway. That courage will change your life.
Beautiful. I want to repeat that for our listeners. Fear means you are growing. That is a message we all need to remember.
Yes. And one more thing. Every successful person feels fear. Every strong person feels nervous sometimes. The difference is successful people take action even when they feel afraid.
That is inspiring. Now let's talk about motivation. Many of our listeners want to stay motivated, but sometimes motivation disappears. Sometimes they feel tired. Sometimes they want to give up. How can they stay motivated?
Good question. I believe motivation is like fire. When you start a fire, it is small. But if you give it fuel, wood, paper, the fire grows. If you do not give it fuel, the fire dies. Motivation works the same way. You must feed your motivation. How? By listening to positive messages. by reading inspiring stories, by practicing every day, by celebrating your small wins. When you say, "Yes, I learned 5 new words today," that is fuel. When you listen to an inspiring podcast like this one, that is fuel. When you talk with a friend in English, that is fuel. And little by little, your motivation grows stronger.
That is such a clear picture. Motivation is fire, and we must feed it. I really like that.
Yes, and let me add something important. Do not wait for motivation. Some people say, "I will study when I feel motivated." But that is a mistake. Action creates motivation. When you take action first, motivation follows. For example, if you do not feel like studying, just open your English book for 5 minutes. When you start, your brain wakes up, and soon you feel motivated to continue.
That is excellent advice. So, do not wait for motivation. Create motivation through action.
Exactly.
David, I think this is a good moment to ask about habits. Because habits are connected to motivation. What do you think? Are habits important for English learners?
Yes, habits are very important because habits are stronger than motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but habits stay with you. If you build a habit practicing English every day, even for 10 minutes, that habit will carry you forward even when you feel tired, even when you feel busy. So I say this, motivation starts the journey. Habits continue the journey.
That is very powerful. Motivation starts the journey. Habits continue the journey. I think our listeners will remember that.
I hope so.
David, I want to go deeper into this idea of habits. You said that habits are stronger than motivation. Can you give us some examples of small habits that English learners can build every day?
Of course. I always say, start small but stay consistent. For example, habit 1. Read 1 page of an English book every morning. Just 1 page. It takes only 5 minutes. But if you read 1 page every day in 1 year, you will finish a whole book. Habit 2. Listen to English audio every day. It can be a podcast. It can be music. It can be news. Even 10 minutes a day will train your ear to understand English sounds. Habit 3. Write 1 sentence in English every evening. It can be about your day. It can be about your dream. It can be about anything. After 1 month, you will have 30 sentences. After 1 year, you will have 365 sentences. And that is progress.
That sounds so simple. 1 page, 1 audio, 1 sentence. It is very small, but it builds up.
Yes, the secret is not to do a lot in 1 day. The secret is to do a little every day. Small actions, repeated daily, create big results.
That makes sense. Now, I want to ask about another problem. Many English learners say, I understand English when I listen, but I cannot speak. Why is speaking so difficult?
That is a common problem. Listening and reading are input skills. Speaking and writing are output skills. Input is easier than output. Why? Because when you listen or read, you only need to understand. But when you speak, you must create language. That is harder. Also, when we speak, we feel pressure. We worry about mistakes. We worry about grammar. We worry about how people will judge us. That pressure makes speaking difficult.
Yes, I understand. So, what can learners do to improve speaking?
First, they must practice speaking without fear. One idea is to practice speaking alone. Stand in front of a mirror. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing. Describe what you see. Nobody will judge you. It is safe. Second, record your voice. Speak for 1 minute. Then listen to your recording. Notice your pronunciation. Notice your speed. Over time, you will hear improvement. Third, find a speaking partner. It can be a friend. It can be an online partner. It can even be a group. The important thing is to speak regularly.
That is very practical advice. I especially like the idea of speaking in front of a mirror. It helps with confidence.
Yes, confidence grows with practice. The more you speak, the easier it becomes. Remember, babies do not speak perfectly at first. They repeat, they practice, they make mistakes. But little by little, they learn. It is the same for you.
That is encouraging. Now let us talk about mistakes. Because many learners are afraid of mistakes. They think mistakes are bad. What is your opinion?
My opinion is simple. Mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are teachers. Every mistake gives you a lesson. Every mistake shows you where to improve. Think about it. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not trying. It means you are staying in your comfort zone. But when you make mistakes, it means you are growing. It means you are learning something new. So I tell my students, do not hide from mistakes. Welcome mistakes. Learn from mistakes. And then move forward stronger.
That is powerful. So mistakes are not failures. They are lessons.
Yes. In fact, every successful person in history has made mistakes. Great inventors, great leaders, great athletes. They all fail many times, but they used their failures as fuel. They learned, they improved, and that is why they succeeded.
That gives me an idea. Can you share a story about someone famous who failed many times, but finally succeeded?
Yes, I can share one story that I love. It is about Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb. People say that he failed thousands of times before he made a working light bulb. Someone asked him, "How did you feel after failing 1,000 times?" And Edison answered, "I did not fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." This story teaches us that failure is not the end. Failure is part of the process. Every failure brings you closer to success.
That is inspiring. So, English learners should think the same way. When they make mistakes, they are not failing. They are taking steps.
Exactly. Every mistake is one step closer to fluency.
Wonderful. Now, I want to ask about mindset, because I think mindset is very important. What kind of mindset should English learners have?
Yes, mindset is everything. I recommend the growth mindset. What does that mean? It means you believe that your skills can grow with effort. You believe that your brain can change. You believe that practice makes you better. Some people have a fixed mindset. They say, "I am not good at languages." They say, "I will never learn English." That mindset blocks them. But a growth mindset says, I can improve, I can learn, I can grow. That mindset gives you power. That mindset keeps you moving forward.
That is true. If we believe we cannot learn, we stop trying. But if we believe we can learn, we keep going.
Yes, and science supports this idea. Neuroscience shows that the brain is flexible. It can create new connections. It can grow stronger with practice. So, when you practice English, you are literally changing your brain. That is amazing.
That is fascinating. So, learning English is not only about language. It is also about training the brain.
Yes, absolutely.
David, I want to talk now about confidence. Many English learners say, I know the words, I know the grammar, but when I try to speak, I lose confidence. Why do you think confidence is so difficult?
That is a great question. Confidence is not something you are born with. Confidence is something you build. And the only way to build confidence is through experience. Think about swimming. You cannot read a book about swimming and suddenly feel confident in the water. You must get into the water. You must practice. And little by little, your confidence grows. It is the same with English. You cannot just read or listen and suddenly feel confident. You must use the language. You must speak it. You must write it. You must practice it. Every time you use English, your confidence grows stronger.
That makes sense. So confidence is not magic. Confidence is practice.
Exactly. And I want to share 3 simple tips for building confidence in English. Tip 1. Celebrate small wins. If you speak one sentence correctly, smile. Say to yourself, yes, I did it. Those small wins add up. Tip 2. Focus on communication, not perfection. Your goal is not to be perfect. Your goal is to share your message. If people understand you, then you are successful. Tip 3. Put yourself in real situations. Order food in English. Ask for directions in English. Introduce yourself to someone in English. These real experiences are the best teachers.
That is very practical. I especially like the second tip. Focus on communication, not perfection. Because many learners stop speaking because they want perfect grammar.
Yes, and that is a big mistake. Nobody speaks perfectly, not even native speakers. The goal is not perfection. The goal is connection.
Beautifully said. Now, David, I want to shift to another topic. Daily motivation routines. We already talked about habits, but routines are a little bigger. Can you explain how a routine can help learners stay motivated?
Yes, I would love to. A routine is like a roadmap for your day. When you have a routine, you do not waste energy deciding what to do. You already know. It becomes automatic. For English learners, a routine creates consistency, and consistency is the key to improvement. Here's an example of a simple daily routine. Morning, read 1 page of an English book. Afternoon, listen to a short English podcast. Evening, write 1 short paragraph about your day. This routine may take only 20 minutes in total. But if you follow it every day, your English will grow stronger and stronger.
That sounds very doable. Not too heavy, but enough to keep making progress.
Yes, and the secret is not intensity. The secret is consistency. If you study for 3 hours one day, but then stop for 1 month, you will not improve. But if you study for 15 minutes every day for 1 year, you will see huge progress.
That is encouraging. So, it is better to do a little every day than a lot once in a while.
Exactly.
Now, I want to make this podcast even more engaging. David, can you share a personal story from your own life when you needed motivation, when you needed to build confidence?
Yes, of course. Let me share a story from when I was in high school. I was a very shy student. I did not like to speak in front of people. One day, my teacher asked me to give a short speech in class. I was terrified. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating fast. And when I stood up, I forgot half of my words. I felt embarrassed. But my teacher smiled and said, "David, that was good. You tried. And that is what matters." Her words gave me courage. After that day, I decided to practice. I started speaking in front of the mirror. I joined a small speaking club. At first, it was difficult, but slowly my confidence grew. Years later, I became a motivational speaker. So what is the lesson? The lesson is this: courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action even when you are afraid.
Wow, that is a very powerful story, and I think many of our listeners can relate to it because they also feel shy when they speak English.
Yes, shyness is normal. Fear is normal. But do not let fear stop you. Let fear push you forward.
That is inspiring. Now, I want to ask about visualization. Some people say visualization is a strong tool for motivation. What do you think?
Yes, visualization is very powerful. It means creating a picture in your mind of your success. For example, if you're learning English, close your eyes. Imagine yourself speaking English confidently. Imagine yourself traveling, ordering food, making friends. See yourself smiling, speaking clearly, enjoying the moment. When you visualize your success, your brain believes it is possible. And when your brain believes, your body follows.
That is interesting. So, it is like mental practice.
Exactly. Athletes use visualization all the time. Before a race, runners imagine themselves running fast and crossing the finish line. Before a game, basketball players imagine themselves scoring points. And it works. So, English learners can do the same. Before speaking, visualize yourself speaking clearly. Before an exam, visualize yourself answering with confidence. This mental training will give you strength.
That is such a useful technique. I think our listeners can try it today.
Yes, absolutely.
David, so far we have talked about confidence, habits, and visualization. Now, I want to bring up another challenge. Many learners say, "I want to practice English. I want to study, but I always delay. I always wait until tomorrow." This problem is called procrastination. How can people overcome it?
Procrastination. It is a very common problem, not only for English learners, but for everyone. Students procrastinate. Workers procrastinate. Even writers procrastinate. Why? Because our brain wants comfort. Studying is work. Speaking a new language feels uncomfortable. So the brain says, "Not now. maybe later. But the problem is, later never comes. So, how do we overcome procrastination? There are 3 steps. Step 1, make the task small. If you say, I must study English for 2 hours, your brain feels heavy. But if you say, I will study for 5 minutes, your brain feels light. 5 minutes feels easy. And once you start, you usually continue longer. Step 2, remove distractions. Put away your phone. Turn off social media. Create a quiet space. When there are fewer distractions, it is easier to focus. Step 3, use the 2-minute rule. This rule says, if a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. For example, writing 1 English sentence, listening to 1 short audio, reviewing 1 vocabulary word. These small actions create momentum, and momentum destroys procrastination.
That is very practical advice. I really like the make the task small idea, because many learners feel stressed when they think about studying for a long time.
Yes, exactly. The secret is to start small. Starting is the hardest part. But once you begin, your brain says, oh, this is not so bad. And then you continue.
That makes sense. Now, I want to connect this to goal setting. Because if we do not have clear goals, it is easier to procrastinate. David, how can learners set good goals for their English learning?
That is a very important question. I like to use the SMART goal method. SMART. S means specific. Do not say, I want to improve my English. That is too general. Say, I want to learn 20 new words this month. That is specific and means measurable. You must be able to measure your progress. For example, I will listen to 10 podcasts this month. You can count them. A means achievable. Your goal must be realistic. If you are a beginner, do not say, I will speak like a native in 1 month. That is not achievable. Set a goal that is possible for you now. Are means relevant? Your goal must be connected to your life. If you want to travel, focus on travel English. If you want a job, focus on business English. T means time bound. Give your goal a deadline. For example, I will read 1 English book in the next 3 months. That time limit keeps you accountable.
That is very clear. So, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Exactly. When you use SMART goals, you have a clear direction. You know what to do, and that clarity reduces procrastination.
Wonderful. Now, I want to make this part of the podcast more personal again. David, can you tell us a story about a time when you set a goal and achieved it?
Yes, I would love to share. When I was in university, I had a dream to run a marathon, but I was not an athlete. I was not a runner. In fact, I could not even run 1 kilometer without getting tired. But I set a SMART goal. I said, in 6 months, I will run a marathon. That is 42 kilometers. So I broke it down. Week 1, run 2 kilometers. Week 2, run 3 kilometers. Every week, I increased little by little. At first, it was difficult. My legs hurt. My lungs felt heavy. I wanted to quit many times. But I remember my goal. I remember my deadline. And I kept going. After 6 months, I stood at the start line of the marathon. I was nervous, but step by step, I ran. It took me almost 5 hours. but I crossed the finish line. That day, I learned something important. Big dreams become possible when you break them into small steps.
That is an amazing story, and it connects perfectly to English learning. Because learning a language is also like running a marathon. You cannot finish it in one day, but step by step, you reach the goal.
Exactly. English is not a sprint. It is a marathon. And if you stay consistent, you will finish the race.
That is so motivating. Now, before we close this part, I want to ask one more thing. What about people who feel stuck? They study, they practice, but they feel no progress. What advice do you have for them?
Yes, that is common. Sometimes progress is invisible. It is like a tree. When you water a tree, you do not see growth every day. But under the soil, the roots are growing. One day, suddenly, the tree becomes tall. English is the same. You may not notice progress every day, but inside your brain, connections are growing. And one day, suddenly you realize, oh, I understand this podcast. I can speak more easily. So my advice is trust the process. Keep watering your tree. Keep practicing. The results will come.
That is beautiful. Trust the process. Keep watering the tree. I think that is a perfect message for our listeners today. David, in the last part we talked about goals and about trusting the process. Now, I want to go one step further. Many people say motivation is important, but some experts say discipline is even more important. What is your opinion?
Yes, I agree. Motivation is wonderful. It gives you energy. It makes you excited. But motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel motivated. Other days you do not. Discipline, however, is steady. Discipline means you do the work, even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes.
So, discipline is more reliable than motivation.
Exactly. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you feel motivated to brush your teeth every day? Maybe not, but you still do it because it is a habit. It is discipline. The same must be true for English. Even if you do not feel motivated, you still practice a little every day. That is discipline, and discipline will carry you much further than motivation alone.
That makes sense. But some listeners may say, David, discipline is hard. How can I build discipline?
Good question. There are 3 strategies. First, start very small. If you make the habit tiny, discipline becomes easier. For example, study for 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes is so small, you cannot say no. Once the habit is strong, you can increase the time. Second, use triggers. A trigger is something that reminds you to act. For example, after breakfast, I will read one English sentence. After brushing my teeth, I will listen to one English phrase. When you connect a habit to something you already do, discipline becomes automatic. Third, reward yourself. When you complete your habit, give yourself a small reward. It can be a smile. It can be a short break. It can be a piece of chocolate. Rewards tell your brain, good job. Keep going.
Those are very useful tips. Start small. Use triggers. Reward yourself. That sounds very manageable.
Yes, And little by little, discipline grows. Soon, it becomes natural. You do not fight with yourself anymore. It becomes part of your identity.
Part of your identity? That is interesting. Can you explain what you mean?
Yes, identity is very powerful. If you only say, I want to learn English, it feels like a task. But if you say, I am an English learner, I am a language explorer, then it becomes who you are. When a habit connects to your identity, discipline becomes easier. For example, a runner does not say, I have to run. They say, I am a runner. A musician does not say, I have to practice. They say, I am a musician. So say to yourself, I am an English speaker. Even if you are not fluent yet, claim that identity. It will push you forward.
That is powerful. So, we should not just do English. We should be English speakers.
Exactly.
Now, I want to introduce another concept, affirmations. Many people say positive affirmations help them stay motivated. Do you believe in affirmations?
Yes, I do. Affirmations are short, positive sentences you say to yourself. They program your mind. They shape your thoughts. And your thoughts shape your actions. For example, an English learner might say every morning, I am confident in English. I learn something new every day. My English is improving step by step. At first, it may feel strange. You may not believe the words. But if you repeat them daily, your brain begins to believe. And when your brain believes, your actions change.
That is interesting. So, affirmations are like planting seeds in your mind.
Yes, exactly. And just like seeds, affirmations need time. You cannot say them once and expect magic. But if you water them every day, they grow.
I like that. Could you share some affirmations that our listeners can use?
Of course. Here are a few simple ones. I am growing English every day. I am not afraid of mistakes. I enjoy the journey of learning. I can understand more and more each week. I will reach my English goals. Listeners, you can choose one or two. Say them in the morning. Say them before studying. Say them before sleeping. Let them enter your heart.
That is very encouraging. I think our listeners will love these affirmations.
Yes, affirmations remind us that language learning is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about mindset and belief.
David, before we close this part, could you share another motivational life story with us?
Yes, gladly. This is a story of J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. Before she became famous, her life was very difficult. She was a single mother. She had little money. She was rejected by many publishers. In fact, 12 publishers rejected her book. But she did not give up. She kept believing. She kept writing. And finally, one publisher accepted her manuscript. Today, Harry Potter is one of the most successful book series in history. The lesson? Rejection is not the end. Failure is not final. If you keep going, your dream can still come true.
That is such a powerful story. And it shows that even the most successful people in the world had to face rejection.
Yes. So, if you face rejection or failure, remember J.K. Rowling. Remember Thomas Edison. Remember that success comes to those who keep moving forward.
Friends, we have covered a lot today. We talked about discipline, motivation, identity, and affirmations. We also heard inspiring stories, stories that remind us to never give up.
Yes, and remember, success in English or in life does not come in one day. It comes step by step, through small habits, through daily practice, through believing in yourself.
Exactly. So, my dear listeners, take today's message with you. Start small. Stay consistent. Believe in your identity as an English speaker.
And never forget, you are capable of more than you think.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this session, make sure to come back for the next episode, because in the next part, we will talk about time management, dealing with negative people, and another powerful life story.
I'm excited for that. Until then, keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep moving forward.
Take care, everyone. See you in the next episode. If today's talk gave you even a little motivation, share it with a friend who needs it too. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of our journey.
Yes, we'll be waiting for you in the next episode. Until then, stay positive and keep learning.